Good morning, Emperor Eagles. I hope you've had a great week. It's so nice to have some cooler weather. You guys have been doing some great work. I love popping into your classrooms and seeing all that you are doing. This is actually the end of Latino History Month, and so I wanted to end the month with a great book. It is called Side by Side. It is by HarperCollins, publisher, and the author is Monica Brown. Now, I'm going to read you a story, and then I'll tell you some interesting facts at the end. In New Mexico, there lived a little girl named Dolores who talked so fast that her grandfather once said, "Dolores, you must have seen 7 tongues." Miles away in Arizona, there lived a little boy named Caesar who was a very good listener. Caesar listened to his mother cry when his family lost its home and they had to become migrant farm workers. Migrant farm workers means when you have to travel from farm to farm versus staying in one place. So that must have been very hard on his family. When Dolores was a girl, she moved to California with her mother and brothers. She joined the Girl Scouts and worked to raise money for soldiers fighting the World War II. Caesar's family moved to California to follow the crops and work in the fields. Although he had to drop out of school to work, Caesar always had a book under his arm. From her mother, Dolores learned to think of others. When poor farm worker families had no place to sleep, Dolores' mothers would let them stay at her hotel for free. Life for Caesar's family was very difficult. All day they bent over in the hot sun picking lettuce, strawberries, and grapes. There was never enough water to drink out in the fields. Dolores grew up and became a teacher. She saw the farm worker children come to school, cold and barefoot, too hungry to learn as they could. When Caesar grew up, he and his friends were hurt by dangerous tools and had mean bosses who sprayed the plants with poisons that made the farm workers sick. Then something special happened. Dolores and Caesar met. Dolores saw that Caesar had great faith. His dreams would bring hope to thousands of farm workers. Caesar saw that Dolores had great courage. She would stand up and fight for what was right. Side by side, Dolores and Caesar began their journey. Dolores and Caesar drove from town to town, standing on the back of the flatbed truck, inviting farm workers to join La Casa, the cause for justice. Together, they demanded better living and working conditions for the farm workers. Caesar and Dolores asked people to stop buying grapes from California because the poisons the growers used were making the workers sick. People listened, and the grapes rotted on the vines. The farm workers won. They got a safer place to work, and the grapes became safer for people to eat. Caesar led men, women, and children on a 340-mile march to demand that workers get paid enough to live on. They arrived in Sacramento, California on April 10th, Dolores' birthday. Dolores gave an amazing speech and the people were heard. The growers signed a contract with the workers, giving them better pay for their hard work. It was time for the farm workers to share in their harvest. Though they had a large family, little food, and no money, when Dolores and Caesar sat down at Caesar's kitchen table, they always looked for ways to make the world a better place. If we don't help the farm workers, Caesar asked Dolores, who will? When the growers and the politicians wouldn't listen, Caesar stopped eating for 36 days so that others would understand how important it was to protect the workers. When the bosses bullied them, the workers used to say, "We can't do it, we can't win." But with the help of Dolores, they began to chant, "Si se puede," yes, we can. For 30 years, Dolores and Caesar worked and listened and talked and marched side by side. Dolores and Caesar worked to help families stay together. They fought to pass the Immigration Act of 1986 that helped more than 1 million immigrants become United States citizens. Dolores and Caesar had many victories because they knew that together all things were possible. In 1993, Caesar passed away and Dolores and the farm workers marched to honor him. Dolores still works and marches for justice for the poor, and she is not alone. The spirit of Cesar Chavez is by her side. This is an amazing book about Cesar Chavez and Dolores, and it's called Side by Side. And we've heard, I hope you've heard the slogan of Si se puede. I actually always thought it was Cesar Chavez, and one day I was reading an article, because I love to read, and I learned there was actually a woman named Dolores that started that phrase, and I thought that was very fascinating that they worked together for their cause and they supported each other. An interesting little note to this story, and it goes with the idea that I encourage you always to ask people about their stories. Mr. Rodriguez, our library, his uncle is Cesar Chavez, and he's had dinner with him. He knows Dolores. He's learned lessons from him. So, Mr. Rodriguez is a great person to ask his story so you can get more information about such an amazing man and woman and the cause that they helped change the world with. I love you. Wash your hands, wear your mask, and I hope we can be together soon. Bye bye.